Hello, Internet, and welcome to my review for Fairy Tail, episode 286. Before we begin, just a reminder to fill out that straw poll in the description if you haven't for my winter 2019 season anime reviews. Anyway, when we last left off, the gang was back together, reforming Fairy Tail, but they needed a new master. And so Levi kind of unilaterally picked Urza because she's the only one who can control everybody. Then Mest showed up and dropped the plot on everybody. Well, he only planned on dropping the plot on Urza, but the rest of Team Natsu overheard, and then Gajiel overheard that, and so now our guys, Team Natsu and Mest, are going to go rescue Makarov at the Alvarez Empire, who's this new group that wants to capture Lumen Histoire. Meanwhile, Gajiel's gathered up the old B team to go find Loxus to help out with the infiltration mission. And yeah, that's where we left off. So the first thing we get is a fairly long sequence, with Levi at the Magic Council, like turning in, the official, like, forms of like, Fairy Tail's being a guild again-ness, you know. And so the first thing we find out is that Mest has been working with Warrod to get the guild to get the Makarov rescue mission going. That's good to know. It's good to know we have a god of Ishgar on our side who is aware of what we're up to. That's always a good feeling. But it is weird. The rest of the scene doesn't fare quite so well under scrutiny. It's weird that Levi has been working for, like, 3 of the 4 gods of Ishtar for a year, and yet seems to have never even met 2 of them, let alone be in the same room with all 3. She doesn't seem to have even met Wolfheim or, Draculon? Hyberios? Whatever his name is. You know the one I'm talking about, vampire guy. Actually, that's kind of a problem with the entire scene. It doesn't really feel like Levi has been an employee of the council for a year. You know, it feels like she's just been a member of Fairy Tail this whole time. You know, like how she doesn't know that God Serena is not a member of the council. Even if she wouldn't know, even if the council wanted to keep under wraps where God Serena was, the fact that she didn't seem to recognize that he was not a member of the council was odd, to say the least. And even if Levi would not know that God Serena was gone, Jura would obviously know. You know, he's number 5 in the Wizard Saints. So why is he kept in the dark? Doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the whole Magic Council scene was a little odd. We do find out that God Serena, the strongest of all the Ishtar wizards, is a member of the Emperor of the Alvarez Empire, Emperor Spriggan's 12 personal bodyguards, the Spriggan 12, who are going to be our main villains for the rest of the series. So keep all them in mind. We meet another one, my personal favorite of the group, Brandish Mew, by the end of the episode, who I will get to later. There's really nothing here to get into why I love Brandish so much. But you'll understand, hopefully, later on. But yeah. Before we get to the crux of the episode, we do check in a little bit with the B team, as they accidentally left Levi behind, and there's a cute little moment. Gajiel and Levi have a good flirt going on. But there's not a whole lot going on with them. But the shot in the next time preview does show that they're going to be running into Blue Pegasus in their quest for Loxus. So Gajiel and Ichiya meeting up is going to be fun. So we'll see that next week. But then we have our heroes, Team Natsu, on their way to the continent Alakatasia of the Alvarez Empire. But to get there, they have to sail. And remember, motion sickness is specifically a sign of a Dragon Slayer's strength. So the fact that Wendy is now experiencing motion sickness from being on vehicles is really important to show how strong she is now. But yeah, the old gags of Natsu being motion sick are back. They're good. I talked a lot last time, yesterday really, because that video was super late. About Fairy Tail kind of like feeling like old times a lot last episode with Natsu barging into Lucy's house and then the brawl. So this gag is kind of another one of those like back onto old times kind of deal. I like that. Especially, now that the Spriggan 12 is around, there aren't a whole lot of back on old times moments to be had. So yeah. Meanwhile, Mess tells them they're gonna find a spy on Caracol Island. And Lucy has what might be the best line of the entire show, where she's like, wow, it's so weird there's a town not named after a plant or a flower. Guess we're not in Fiore anymore. For one thing, I had never put that together, that all the towns were named after plants and flowers. But that's just funny to me. That, normally, the characters in Pokemon don't, in the Kanto region, don't remark that all their towns are named after colors. Or in Johto, they don't remark that all their towns are named after wood. Or trees, or whatever it is. It's a bit of a meta moment, not gonna lie. But then the gang heads to Caracol, where they encounter Alvarez soldiers who have kind of taken over the town on the hunt for the spy that Mess is meeting up with. But the gang hatches a scheme to get in, pretending to be Kate Shelter mages, and showing off Urza and Lucy's large breasts in order to infatuate the Alvarez guards. And they all get in. They try to sneak in for a little while until they see two guards, or 3 or 4 Alvarez soldiers, I think, who are harassing a boy whose father they kidnapped, and presumably killed, but they don't quite go into detail on that. And when they threaten to kill the boy, or when they're first taunting the boy, Urza has Natsu hang back, and then they threaten to kill him, and then all hell breaks loose, and all of Team Natsu just smacks down the soldiers, and it's pretty great watching the gang kick ass. One thing that's not pretty great, however, is that whole subplot where Mest is infatuated with a 13-year-old. Not cool. Not cool in the slightest. It's a mess. Which is a shame, because Mest was so great last week with his ridiculous backstory, and to see him be so creepy, ugh. And there is good Mest creepy. The Mest face when he chomps down on people's heads, like we saw in the flashback last week. That's good Mest creepy. Mest, being infatuated with a 12, 13-year-old, not cool. Not cool. Yeah, so there's that. That's not a fun thing to ever talk about. Anyway, after that, literally right in front of the defeated bodies of the Alvarez soldiers, Urza just starts eating a dessert at a food stand. But then our new villain shows up to destroy the food stand. That dick! All the Star Mango owner guy wanted to do was go to Ishgar and make his delicious fruit-based dessert popular. He deserved that right. So yeah, but Gray gives him a sack of money to go and live his life. And then we are introduced to our first named Alvarez member, Marin Hollow. But much more important, we discover, is the name of his division, the Brandish division. We'll get into Brandish in a little bit, though there's not a whole lot of her. But Marin's powers are the ability to control space. He can teleport pretty much at will, and any space-based magic, including Mess teleportation, Urza's requip, and Lucy's celestial spirit magic, are instantly nullified by Marin, and and seemingly, if you use those magics, he can warp you to some special zone. So yeah, that's what happens to Urza and Lucy. They are warped somewhere far away, leaving Natsu, Gray, and Wendy to deal with Marin. And the Marin fight is a pretty standard fairy tale style, new villain gives our heroes the runaround moment. But it works as a showcase, just like how outmatched the heroes are. It works really well. So that's it's not like a standout fight. There are going to be plenty of great fights we see later on, and plenty of not so great fights. But let's not focus on that for the moment. But there'll be plenty of great fights later on, and this is not one of them. It's a perfectly average fight. It's fine. But then Brandish shows up, and that's where we cut out. Brandish is a lot, and whether or not y'all are gonna love her or hate her, anime onlys, is for y'all to decide. And I can't tell you anything about why I like Brandish without being major spoilers. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that part off here. The episode as a whole, the episode was pretty good. It was not as good as the last two episodes. And it definitely feels like we're just kind of like warming up with the arc. It'll definitely get bigger and better as the arc goes on. But I had a good time. Now, with my favorite member of the Spriggan 12 on the scene, things are just going to get better and better as we go forward. So yeah, next time we meet most of the rest of the Spriggan 12. I think there are still quite a few who don't show up here. But we'll meet them later. And anyone who has not figured it out after last week's episode is going to learn all about Emperor Spriggan. Yeah. So I enjoyed this episode. I hope y'all did too. And hope y'all enjoyed the video. I'm gonna leave this video off here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, fill out my straw poll in the description down below. Or do whatever the fuck you want. I don't really care. And as always, people, keep kicking ass and I'll see you in the future. Bye!